Yo, what's up everybody? Professor V here, and in this lecture we will focus on adopting lifelong learning by staying within a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset. Growth mindsets lead to higher levels of success in both college and in life. So, without further ado, let's get started. Now, we can't discuss growth mindset versus fixed mindsets without talking about American psychologist Carol Dweck. She began researching different mindsets of college students and if they contribute to their success in college. She found that students' perception about their own ability to learn influenced the likelihood of dealing with challenges successfully and gaining new knowledge and skills. She coined the terms growth mindset and fixed mindset. Students with a fixed mindset are at a more disadvantage in college because they often believe that they are born with a fixed ability to learn, fixed amount of talent, and fixed amount of traits. They see intelligence as something that someone has or they don't have. They believe that if they do well in college, that they are intelligent, and if they don't do well, it's because they're not intelligent. Those with a fixed mindset do not seek out new challenges and are more comfortable with doing tasks in which they know they will perform really well. They will often quit earlier than others if they are unsuccessful on the first couple of tries, if not on the first try of a new task or when trying to learn new information. They listen to their inner critic and inner defender that forces them to think negatively about oneself or blame others for their shortcomings. They see themselves as victims. Dweck also coined the term growth mindset, in which those with a growth mindset see the world in the opposite than those with a fixed mindset. They are open to new tasks, challenging tasks, and believe that we can perform well and learn new tasks and information easily with effort. They believe that practice makes learning easier and more achievable. Those with a growth mindset are more resistant to giving up on the first try or even many tries and thus persevere through difficult and challenging times. In a growth mindset, we tend to embrace opportunities to learn, while those in a fixed mindset may avoid new opportunities, possibly because of a fear to fail in new and challenging tasks. In some cases, we switch from growth mindsets and fixed mindsets depending on situations, and thus we need to be mindful when in a fixed mindset. Here is a list of additional characteristics of both growth and fixed mindsets. Dweck has found these mindsets to be critical in success in college and has proven it in various scientific studies, one in which pre-med students who were taking a challenging organic chemistry course, which can often determine if students get into medical school or not. Students with a growth mindset were more successful in completing the course with a high grade. They also had several characteristics in common. One was that they found the course more enjoyable. Sometimes this takes willpower to find something interesting. It's all about putting value and effort and finding curiosity in the course. Students with a growth mindset also take the constructive criticism better than those with a fixed mindset. They learn from their mistakes on difficult assignments and exams in which they performed poorly. And lastly, in the end, they earned a higher grade at the end of the semester. So now that we understand the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset and the benefits of a growth mindset, how do we develop a growth mindset? While the list above me are 4 ways, there is even a bigger one: willpower. You have to want to have a growth mindset to obtain one. Find your inner self-motivation. Realize why you want to reach those goals you even have. Recognize when you are in a fixed mindset as well. As much of the concepts we have discussed in this lecture series, it takes effort and practice. However, in addition to willpower, self motivation, efforts, and practice, change the way you think about your brain. Your brain is plastic. No, not like a Coca Cola bottle, but malleable. Your brain is capable of changing itself in response to new information. The more you use the areas that change in response to learning information, the stronger those areas become for said information. This is called neuroplasticity. Your brain is made up of billions of neuron cells that connect to each other in trillions of ways. These connections are what change in response to learning. Once you learn something new and then reuse that information, the higher the chance that the information will remain intact. This takes effort, though, and this is why the phrase practice makes perfect exists. Practice what you learn in college. Do assigned readings and homework to reinforce what you learn in class. Create multiple neural connections called neural networks for the same type of information. When you read, that is a visual neural network that will form. When you go to lecture and hear your instructor, that is an auditory neural network that is formed. When you write notes in and out of class, this adds another neural network. However, there are not strong correlations to typing in memory. In other words, if you are confronted with a challenge in college or even in life, this doesn't mean you can't learn from it. It may take you longer than others or maybe even more quickly than others, but due to neuroplasticity of the brain, you can learn. The saying that you can't teach an old dog new tricks does not apply here, nor does it apply to dogs. Just like humans, it just may take longer. As we have discussed in a previous lecture, goal setting is quite important. Set both learning and performance goals. When setting learning goals, it doesn't mean to just focus on solely getting an A in the course. The learning goal should be to actually learn and be able to use the material to obtain a deeper understanding of the information and concepts. It is still okay to set goals such as earn an A or B in a course, but be sure to also set the learning goals as well. Obtaining an A or B in a course is a performance goal. By setting both learning and performance goals, you are more likely to develop a growth mindset. Use other skills we have discussed, such as interdependence and self-management, to reach both learning and performance goals throughout a course and in everyday life. For example, a performance goal could be to earn an A in your physics course. A learning goal would be to learn and understand each of Newton's laws of motion. Use your resources such as your textbook, your instructor, and classmates. Performance goals are more defined and less abstract. Learning goals help us grow and gain new insight and new knowledge, new skills, and new abilities we can use to achieve the performance goal. Performance goals are to reach a certain criteria, while learning goals help you in the course of achieving that criteria and obtain different strategies to get there. Seek and obtain feedback and use the feedback to your advantage. A lot of times, feedback is ignored, which is a characteristic of a fixed mindset. The inner defender might see it as a threat to oneself, but your inner guide knows that it is important to listen to feedback to gain insight on the issues you may be having in learning the material and skills. Perhaps the feedback will be something you can use to your advantage when learning a new skill or concept. In other words, be open-minded to your instructors and classmates' feedback. If you have tried something before and it hadn't worked, perhaps tweak the method or seek other feedback. In the end, it's someone else's opinion and the words won't physically hurt you. Maybe emotionally, but it's part of the learning process. I can speak for myself that when I offer constructive criticism and feedback on assignments, I never do it with the intention of hurting someone emotionally. And I am certain that most instructors and professors are just the same. Just don't take it personally. Remain in a creator and growth mindset and push forward with the newfound knowledge and use it to your advantage. Feedback can come not just from your college instructors, but other significant people in your life, such as parents, family members, employers, children, employees, friends, colleagues, and others. Seek feedback, not just in college, but life itself. And lastly, when something doesn't work for you, don't just move on or give up. Try something different. Don't repeat the same behaviors if those behaviors aren't working for you. Change it up and experiment with other techniques often told to you in constructive criticism and feedback. Try other methodologies of work and study. A fixed mindset person would keep repeating the same destructive behaviors, they remain stuck in their ways. Those in a growth mindset seek alternatives, try something new, and seek guidance. It's one thing to know that you're off course, and it is entirely another thing to do something about it. It takes courage, it takes willpower. Breaking big tasks into smaller tasks. Remember, short term and long term goal setting? Well, make short term goals for your short term goals. We rarely reach our goals without any obstacles, and thus are always having to find alternative routes in getting there and trying new strategies and obtaining help along the way. Don't forget about that interdependence. Now, if you're following along in the textbook in which this lecture series is based on, you'll see that the author ends the list of how to develop a mindset here. However, I want to add one more item that will help with emotions when developing a growth mindset. It may cause anger or sadness in reaching our goals. Again, there will be obstacles and failure is imminent in some shape or form. But don't forget to forgive yourself. If you received a bad grade on an assignment, didn't turn in a paper, or even earn an F in a course, don't get hung up on the failure. Forgive yourself and see it as a learning experience. Ask yourself, what did I do to earn such a grade? And be sure not to repeat that mistake. Control your emotions, which is the main topic of discussion in the next chapter. Remember what fail means. FAIL. First attempt in learning. Moving forward with the next topic in creating college and life success is developing self-respect. Self-respect can be described as the confidence and pride you experience when you know you are acting ethically with honor and dignity. David Middleton states that in addition to honor and dignity, that characteristics of self-respect consist of autonomy, servility, and security of oneself. Another characteristic described by the authors of the textbook is integrity. Integrity is created by words and behaviors as they relate to what we value. Often, college students state they value obtaining an education, but their actions suggest the opposite. They don't come to class, they don't turn in assignments, or they turn in assignments late or not at all, do not perform well or to the best of their abilities when studying or finding time to study. Their actions contradict their beliefs and values and show a lack of integrity and self-respect. Academic integrity is part of the culture of education, and all colleges and universities have some type of academic honesty policy that acknowledges and condemns cheating and promotes academic honesty. Academic dishonesty includes, but is not limited to, cheating, plagiarism, copying exams, obtaining help on an exam other than from the instructor, copying assignments, reports, term papers, and other types of dishonesty. Personally, I have discovered cheating several ways, such as uploading class assignments to the internet, using similar or even the same assignments to complete their own assignments, students asking another student to write their papers for an amount of money, turning in the exact same paper as another student from a previous semester, only changing their name, and others during exams, such as hiding notes while taking an exam. These are all actions that are against academic honesty policies and often result in an F on an assignment or sometimes an F in the course depending on course policies and severity. When academic dishonesty is repeated, it could result in suspension or expulsion from a college or university. So I ask, is it worth it? One of the purposes of higher education is to seek truth, and learn critical thinking skills. How can you do so if you attempt to cheat? In the end, there are three main reasons as to why you should maintain academic integrity and honesty, described by Downing and Brennan, the authors of the textbook. First, you could just get caught. Just as easy as it is to cheat, it could be just as easy to catch students cheating. Just this past semester, I discovered a student uploading assignments to a website that is not directly associated with the college in which I teach. It's easy for students to make profiles on these cheating websites. It's just as easy for professors and instructors to do the same and find cheating taking place in their own course. When papers are bought on the internet to combat this, instructors often require papers to be submitted to a plagiarism checker service within their LMS, such as Blackboard, or run it through their own plagiarism detection service. There are penalties for cheating when caught, as I described before. The student I mentioned received zeros for uploading the documents, and I had every right to fail the student. While the student eventually dropped my course, instructors can prevent a student from dropping a course due to cheating so that they do receive the punishment for cheating on their academic record. Many colleges and universities note that a student has cheated on their official transcripts and thus hindering possible employment opportunities and graduate school opportunities. Second, you'll just learn more. Sure, cheat and graduate from college, but what happens when you are expected to know the information at a job or in graduate school, medical school, law school, or any other type of school? God forbid you cheated yourself through medical school and are someone's doctor. Hope you have good malpractice insurance for your sake. And lastly, your overall self-respect will increase and you'll have a higher level of self-confidence in your abilities and knowledge. To add to self-respect, a way to obtain and keep self-respect is to make commitments and then keep those commitments. Think about it this way. Wouldn't you lose a little or even a lot of respect for someone that didn't keep an important commitment to you? What happens if they repeatedly do so? Eventually, you'll lose trust and respect for them, and they would lose a good friend or even a family member. Now, I'm not saying that things don't come up. Perhaps they have good reasons, but when it is part of their personality, it becomes disrespectful to you. They don't respect the time you made for them, the time you blocked out of your event-filled or even not filled day to commit to them. When you make commitments, keep them. When you break them, your inner defender tries to rationalize that fact. However, your inner guide knows better that you made a commitment and then broke it. Of course, just as with the friend I just discussed, life does happen, and sometimes there are valid excuses. Just don't let breaking commitments become parts of your personality. Make your agreements consciously and be sure that you know exactly what your commitment is and understand it. Say no to events and things that may come in the way of the commitment. This could be committing to studying for an exam over the weekend instead of going out for a few drinks with friends. Commit to your decision of staying in and studying. Your brain and exam grade will thank you. Don't commit to more things in which you can handle. This is something that I continue to struggle with myself. But again, practice makes perfect. Practice using creator language. Instead of saying, I'll try to read a chapter per night, say, I will read a chapter per night. We have already discussed creating a compelling life plan with monthly and weekly calendars in a previous lecture. Keep using those self-management tools to keep track of your commitments. Use a Ulysses contract. An example of a Ulysses contract is when you agree to meet someone, say, at a gym at 9 o'clock in the morning. Since you've already made that commitment to someone else at 9 o'clock in the morning, they're expecting you. And you'll be more likely to go to the gym despite maybe even wanting to go to the gym. And lastly, carry out your plan. However, as I stated before, sometimes life gets in the way. When it does, renegotiate with yourself or others when you will honor your commitments. Don't just abandon the commitments. Still do it and fit it elsewhere in your weekly or monthly calendar. When you keep your commitments, you'll notice that you have a higher sense of self respect. Know your worth and expect the same from others, and have higher standards on who you associate yourself with and higher standards for yourself. And this concludes the 7th lecture of this College Success lecture series. I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. Thank you for watching, and I hope you continue your path to college success. Until next time, take care.